So today we will discuss something about the concept of excretion, then the various patterns of excretion in different animals, animal groups, and of course we will also have some idea about the excretory system in the humans itself. Of course, we would prefer to divide this discussion maybe in two sessions, or if we are able to complete it in one session, it's quite okay. I'll begin with the concept of excretion. I meant to say, the question is, what is excretion? You know, when such basic questions are raised, then some of us get stumped because we never expect these questions. Excretion, somebody will say, okay, urine is formed, that is excretion. Some of us may say, sweating is there, that is also excretion. And some of us will say, daily morning, good morning, the fecal matter is out, that is excretion. Well, interesting. Let us understand what is excretion and what is not excretion. The removal of metabolic wastes. Removal of metabolic wastes from the body is called as excretion. Oh my God, you never thought that excretion could be explained in these terms. But this is how it is explained. This is the original meaning of excretion is this. Then the expression comes, what do you mean by metabolic waste? What are the metabolic wastes? Firstly, understand what is metabolism. I think in your school books also sometimes you have heard of this word metabolism. Okay, I'll explain. Have you heard of two words? Anabolism, catabolism? If not, doesn't matter. Are you sitting with your notebook? Make sure. Listening lecture is one thing, but side by side, writing things is another thing, and both must happen. I'm sure you are doing it all your physics and chemistry also. You must not only listen, you must write. In your physics chemistry lessons also you must write. And in biology, of course, you must write. Are you not writing? I'll wait for a minute. Get ready with the notebook, get ready with the paper. Okay, I hope you have them. So writing. So write down. Anabolism. I'll write that word here. Anabolism. What is anabolism? Constructive reactions. A reaction that generates a certain molecule. That is anabolism. Anabolism is addition. It is increase. Chemical substances are produced. I'll just give you one simple example of anabolism. Amino acids, they get joined. Suppose these are the amino acids and they get joined together. And you get a chain of amino acids. And that chain of amino acid can be called as a peptide. Peptide, it is related to protein ultimately. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 30 amino acids may get joined together to form a peptide, a polypeptide, which is a protein itself. And such a construction of the chain of amino acids will be called as anabolism. Now suppose you want to cut the chain. You want to remove each amino acid. You want to cut the bond between amino acids. So how many amino acids you will get from this chain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cut them away. You will get 6 separated amino acids. Such a process of breakdown will be called as catabolism. So anabolism plus catabolism together makes metabolism. So what is metabolism? Anabolism plus catabolism together will make metabolism. And therefore metabolism is all about chemical reactions going on in the cells. And then let us relate it to excretion. Metabolic waste means what? When hundreds and thousands of reactions are going on in every cell, do you expect that there are no byproducts, unwanted byproducts? There are many unwanted byproducts. And all those unwanted byproducts which may become toxic to the person, toxic to the organism must be eliminated from the body. So excretion is elimination, removal, elimination of metabolic wastes. Not everything which is happening in the anabolism and catabolism is good. Certain things are not good. I'll give you one example. Urea is formed and urea may not be good. It is to be removed. Uric acid may have to be removed. There are many other substances like bile acids which must be removed. Then there are substances which can be carbon dioxide. You know, carbon dioxide is something which is produced and that must be removed. So these are the things which are produced as a byproduct of metabolism and they must be removed. And all that removal is called as metabolism. Metabolic wastes. So metabolic wastes are those which are unwanted, harmful, poisonous materials. They should not accumulate in our body and so they must be removed. So these are called as metabolic wastes. So what is excretion? The removal of metabolic waste from the body. What is metabolism? It is together, taken together, anabolism and catabolism. What is anabolism? Constructive reaction, synthesis of products in the body. Say you are making a polypeptide chain from amino acids, or you are making a starch molecule which is made up of glucose molecules. So if glucose molecules get together and get joined, a starch is produced, that is anabolism. And if the starch molecule is broken, what it is? If the starch molecule is broken into pieces, what do you call it? Catabolism. So anabolism and catabolism is going on in our cells, and that is all metabolism. And during metabolism, many unwanted substances are produced which must be removed, and that is what is called as excretion. I just want to make a precautionary note here. I have written the question here. What is egestion? I am sure because you have learned the aspects of nutrition, you are aware that egestion is a part of nutrition. Should I remind you? Yes. What is nutrition? Food, then, yes, ingestion, then digestion, then absorption in the blood, after that assimilation, use in the body, and those things which are not digested or those things which are indigestible. There are two things. Those things which are not digested or those things which are indigestible like cellulose are removed from the body in the form of fecal matter, and that is being called as digestion. This is a very common, very common type of confusion in many students, and they feel that excretion and digestion is same. No, excretion is removal of the metabolic waste. Metabolic wastes are found inside the cells and they are taken out of the cells. They go into the blood and blood will remove it through kidneys and skin and all. Egestion is not a metabolic waste. Egestion is undigested food and indigestible food which accumulates in the end part of the large intestine and then it is going out. That is called egestion. So from now onwards, no confusion please. Excretion is different, egestion is different. I'll come back to the 2-3 different kinds of metabolic waste. Carbon containing and nitrogen containing metabolic waste are more common. There are many others also. I may not comment on all. I think from your general point of view, you should know carbon containing metabolic waste and the nitrogen containing metabolic waste. Carbon containing metabolic waste is of course carbon dioxide. Somebody says carbon monoxide. No, that's not correct. Carbon monoxide is not produced in our body, so it is not a metabolic waste. Carbon dioxide, yes, it is produced. Where it is produced? It is produced in every cell. Remember the chapter on the respiration? We have already said that carbon dioxide is produced inside mitochondria. Then it comes out because in the Krebs cycle the carbon dioxide will be produced and it will come out of the mitochondria. Then it will come out of the cell, then it will enter into the blood capillary, then it will enter into the bloodstream and then go to the lungs and through the alveoli the CO2 will be given out. When you are breathing out, the exhalation process, carbon dioxide is given out. That is carbon dioxide elimination. Because beyond a certain limit, carbon dioxide may not be good, so it is continuously eliminated. This is very popular. Carbon containing metabolic waste, carbon dioxide. But more commonly considered is nitrogen containing metabolic waste. And there are many nitrogen containing metabolic waste. Urea, firstly I should write ammonia. Ammonia, urea, uric acid. There are some other compounds also, but I will not go into those details. But these are all compounds which contain nitrogen. So overall, as a part of the basic biochemistry, the nitrogenous wastes are classified as carbon containing and nitrogen containing. Carbon containing metabolic waste is all very well known, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen containing metabolic waste are ammonia, urea, uric acid, and some other compounds. When I say others, what do you mean? What I mean by that? You know, there are certain things like bile acids. You know, bile is a very fantastic material. Bile has bile salts and bile acids. Bile salts are good. They are not a waste. Do you remember in nutrition chapter? Do you remember that particular physical process which is called as emulsification? What is happening in emulsification? The large droplet of the lipid is being broken into small pieces, and that emulsification is done with the help of bile salts. So bile salts are not bad, they are good for the body, so they are not a waste. But in addition to bile salts, bile also has bile acids. You know, bile salts, bile acids, and bile pigments. I'll also write down bile pigments. Bile pigments and bile acids, they can be considered to be excretory waste, and they are produced by liver. And interestingly, many of these compounds, the bile pigments particularly, are being produced by the liver as a part of destruction of hemoglobin. You know, RBCs are having a life of say about 100 days or so, and every second millions and millions of RBCs are being destroyed in our body, and the hemoglobin which is present in them will be processed, and part of the hemoglobin will be used, like iron and all will be used. The hemoglobin as protein, that will also be used by the body, but there are certain things which cannot be used, and those get converted into bile pigments. So bile acids, bile pigments are excretory wastes. Ammonia, urea, uric acid are excretory wastes, and CO2 is an excretory waste, and all these compounds are produced in the process of metabolism. So these are metabolic waste. From here onwards, you are not going to forget this. The excretion is the removal of the metabolic wastes. One small inquiry which always comes from students: the bile mixes with the food, and the bile pigments become a part of the undigested food, and that is the color of our fecal matter. You know, with the fecal matter has brownish, yellowish, slightly greenish, sometimes brownish colors. Well, who is giving that color to the fecal matter? That is because of the bile pigments. So sometimes, therefore, they say even the large intestine is involved in excretion. You may say so, but to be very frank, if bile pigments are the excretory matter, where are they being produced? They are being produced in the liver, because bile pigments are a part of the bile, and bile is produced in the liver. And where the bile is being produced in the liver? In the cells. It means it is a metabolic waste. So it is better that rather than calling, don't try to mix up digestion and excretion. Digestion is removal of undigested food. Bile pigment is not an undigested food. The only thing is that bile pigments get mixed with the undigested food and it is eliminated. So there are certain small issues here and there, and we'll go into some details after the pause. Here now we have the different structures, I mean to say different organs which are involved in the excretion. It's very interesting that there is a lot of variety. Variety is something which is the essence of life. So when we learn these things, one thing we will always have in mind, that life is something which is flowering. It's all colorful. Colorful in what sense? Variety. Everywhere variety. If you think of the excretory structures, there is a lot of variety. Yeah, kidney is something that you know already, and that is in the vertebrates. All vertebrates. Fishes, amphibia, reptilia, birds, mammals, all have kidneys. Kidneys typically of this kind are a speciality of vertebrates only. And once again, kidneys of all vertebrates are having some basic similarity. This is something which will always I would like to quote. Basic structure of heart of all vertebrates, basic structure of kidneys of all vertebrates, basic structure of brains of all vertebrates, basically similar. What word you use for such similarity, which is comparative, good and deep? You are right. That will be called as homology. So kidneys of vertebrates are homologous. A fish kidney homologous with frog kidney, a frog kidney homologous with the reptile kidney, and so on. Why I am saying this? Because this is the time, the beginning of biology career, where you must develop outlook to learn to biology. It's not foundation course, it's not just information of the different things. It's all to develop an outlook to learn biology. You should develop an outlook to be independent. This kind of teaching, learning is okay in the beginning, but you must be able to learn on your own, and for that you must develop a point of view, how to look at that subject, how to learn that subject. Everywhere we are going to talk about such things like homology, analogy, comparisons, differences, analysis, and then we will try to develop a theme out of it, and then the biology, you will look at biology, look at the life science from a correct angle. So kidneys are all there, and kidneys will be making urine, whether it is a fish or whether it is humans. All vertebrates will be making urine. I have not written here, but I can also write skin. But skin can be excretory. Mainly, I mean, it's difficult to say that skin can be excretory in all vertebrates. Vertebrates will differ with respect to the excretory role of the skin, and in our case, skin is definitely an excretory organ. So, in our case, lungs, skin, and kidneys are excretory organs. All vertebrates also will have, all vertebrates, I mean to say, amphibians, the terrestrial amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, they have lungs. They will have carbonaceous excretion going on through the lungs. Skin, I think, is excretory in many animals, more or less in different ways, but kidneys are very sure. I think you have learned insects, arthropoda. You have with you a diagram of the digestive system of the cockroach. You can refer to your PDF, and you will find that attached to the digestive system of cockroach there are what are called as Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules, well, we'll see the Malpighian tubules after some time on the screen. These are very thin, very thin tubes, and they are more than 100, and they collect the excretory matter. You know, the excretory matter in the case of the insects is uric acid, and they are able to collect the uric acid, and then that uric acid will enter into the digestive tube, because these Malpighian tubules are attached to digestive tube. We will see it on the screen. And why on the screen? We are going to show you. Yes, when the cockroaches are available, that time we will be able to show you. I mean, cockroaches are available, but you can't just pick up a cockroach and dissect it. You need a certain protocol to do it. And as and when it is available, we will show you the Malpighian tubules also. They are very thin, very simple. So these tubules are excretory, and that is of all insects. But then, arthropoda is one of the very big group. The way excretion occurs in lobsters and crabs is different. They don't have marpusing tubules. The way the excretion occurs in spiders and scorpions is different. So I think therefore, when I have written arthropoda, specifically I have mentioned only the insects. Insects have marpusing tubules and insects are the major part of the arthropoda. There are many other minor details and I am trying to avoid it because this is only a foundation phase, and otherwise also in your NEET syllabus there is only mention of these things only. Annelida, the earthworm group, has nephridia. Oh my god, what a word! Some of you have learned it. Nephridium is singular, nephridia is plural. This is a single nephridium. Single nephridium, this word is plural. It's a coiled tube. And in this coiled tube, there will be a lot of tracts, ciliated tracts will be there inside. Lot of ciliated tracts are there. And lot of blood vessels are there. This whole thing is very nicely supplied with blood capillaries. And the excretory wastes from the blood capillaries can be separated. There is a funnel-like structure through which coelomic fluid can enter. There are so many details. Suppose earthworm body has say 100 segments. Then every segment of the earthworm body will have at least 200 such coil tubes. Imagine 100 segments and 200 or 300 such coil tubes. Nephridia. So 100 into 200, you can easily imagine there can be 2,000, 3,000 of these kind. Nephridia are of the several types. Why to worry about all that? You want to listen? Okay, I'll tell you. Septal nephridia, pharyngeal nephridia, integumentary nephridia. Oh my god, too much. Don't worry. If you are able to remember nephridia, fine. And if you want to forget even the word nephridia, even that is fine. I'll simply say coil tubes. Do you know that even in our own case we have nephrons? And what are nephrons? Nephrons are coil tubes. I think in your books, the uriniferous tubule or nephrons are there. All our kidneys have coil tubes, and every kidney of human has 1 million coil tubes. So it seems that coil tubes is a speciality. Just like kidneys are having coil tubes for excretion in the case of the vertebrates, similarly, Annelida group has many such coil tubes for excretion, and every segment has many such coil tubes. They are microscopic, and it's possible to make a slide and observe it. And these are part of nephridia. I think we are now going from a higher to a lower level. So then we have considered vertebrates, then arthropoda, then Annelida, and comes platyhelminths. What are we talking about? Platyhelminths, who are those? Flatworms. Platyhelminths are flatworms. Try to remember who are the flatworms. You have, yes, planaria, liver fluke, tapeworm. 3 very popular examples. There are many. So these animals, planaria and liver fluke and all, they have flame cells, and they are very minute flame cells. Thousands of flame cells are there, and I have drawn here 2 flame cells. And it's interesting. Why they are being called as flame cells? Because inside they have cilia. This is 1 flame cell, this is 2nd flame cell, and inside they have cilia. And cilia flicker. They flicker like the flame of a candle. Cilia, they move, and under the microscope it appears to be like the flickering of a candle, and so they are being called as flame cells. What happens is all excretory waste is surrounding these flame cells, particularly liquid material in the body, and all that enters inside, and the cells have the ability to remove the metabolic waste, and that comes into the small canal, and hundreds and thousands of these flame cells get joined together to make a bigger and bigger canal, and ultimately through a big hole in the body the excretory waste is given out. So these are the flame cells. We never expect, some of you know and many of you don't know this, and you are learning this. To enjoy this foundation course, You must always feel nice that something new is being learned by you. असं नाही की बापरे हे मला कसं लक्षात येईल, मग मला लक्षात येईल का, मग नीटसाठी आलं तर मी काय करू, अजिबात त्याचा विचार करू नका. एन्जॉय करा. फर्स्ट अँड फॉरमोस्ट, इफ यू वॉन्ट टू learn good science, you must learn to enjoy it. And who can enjoy? Those people only can enjoy who get the joy of learning. What is joy of learning? You feel nice, you feel good, you wanted to know, you have heard it first time, and you are excited that my God, so many different things are there in the living world, and I didn't know, and now this is a good time that I am trying to understand it. So that way. फक्त सारखं नीट आणि परीक्षा आणि डॉक्टर होण्याचा विचार करू नका यार, त्याच्याने काय होणार नाही. मस्त एन्जॉय करा आणि मग हळूहळू तुम्हाला तो विषय तुमच्या अंगात भिनायला लागेल. हे नक्कीच आहे की बऱ्याच लोकांना बायोलॉजी मध्ये करिअर करायचं आहे, पण बायोलॉजीमध्ये करिअर करायचं असेल तर बायोलॉजी फंडामेंटल्स तुम्हाला चांगली आली पाहिजे, त्यासाठी तुम्ही प्रयत्न करताय. सो वन्स अगेन, फ्लेम सेल्स, बॅक्टेरियल एलिमेंट्स. बट देन इफ यू गो टू लोअर साइड, निडारियन्स. Nidarians are hydra, jellyfish, sea anemone. त्यांच्यामध्ये कसं काय एक्सक्रीशन होत असेल? So in Nidaria, how is excretion taking place? How is excretion taking place in Porifera? Because you know the Porifera have sponges and the Protista. Protista is not animal. It's not an animal group, but you know we keep it as a sign. You know all those Protistans are paramecium and amoeba, all those are protists. And how excretion will be taking place in them? Protists like amoeba, paramecium, sponges, and the nidarians like sea anemone and hydra and jellyfish. What is happening in them? What organ, what body part is specialized? Nothing. It is only general body surface. So you know, although the protists are unicellular and sponges and nidarians are multicellular, they have a lot of their body surface exposed to the water, and you know, simply by diffusion materials can get in and material can come out. Suppose I draw a particular protistal cell, suppose maybe amoeba or whatever, and then you know excretory waste will simply come out. It's a word, diffusion. Diffusion is a physical process, and by diffusion materials can pass out. You know, this is a membrane, this is unicellular, but even if it is multicellular like sponges or the hydra, still all those cells are in contact with water and materials can be emptied into the water quite easily. So I think there is no special need for any organs. The specific structures related to excretion begins from platyhelminthes. In Annelida they are very elaborate nephridia. In Arthropoda they are Malpighian tubules, and vertebrates of course kidneys, and to some extent skin. I just want to talk about this great person, Malpighi. तुम्ही असं ऐकलंय जसे ते Malpighian tubules आहेत तसं तुम्ही ह्यूमन किडनीमध्ये आपण शिकणार आहोत, आणि तुम्ही स्कूलमध्ये शिकलात की Malpighian corpuscle, Malpighian body. This person Malpighi was a great histologist of Europe. Malpighi was a great histologist of Europe, and he did so much of work of histology. 250 वर्षापूर्वी यांनी एवढं काम करून ठेवलेलं आहे. आजही त्या सगळ्यांची नाव आपण घेतोय कारण त्यांनी ओरिजिनल काम केलंय. Anyway, so this is the pattern of excretion. There are of course many details. Animal world मध्ये सगळं सांगणं गरजेचं पण नाही आणि शक्य पण नाही, पण इथे आपण एवढं शिकलेलो आहोत. So let us take a small pause. Let's once again revise whatever was said just now. We will see those things in the picture. This is the digestive system of cockroach. You know it very well. आता त्याची रिव्हिजन करू. Esophagus, crop, gizzard, intestine चा भाग आहे mesenteron, आणि large intestine वगैरे. What is interesting is these are the Malpighian tubules, thin threads. Should not get confused. These are also tubes, but they are being called as hepatic cecae. Hepatic cecae are different, and Malpighian tubules are different. These Malpighian tubules are those which are involved in excretion. They are all floating in the surrounding body fluid. They collect the wastes, mainly the uric acid compound, and they pour it into the tubes, and then the tubes are connected to the intestine, and then with fecal matter, the uric acid will be out. Of course, the uric acid is taken in a different form. Those details are many. All insects, insect world is big. almost 70% or more than that, all the animals are insects, and marsupial seem to be one of the topmost organs of excretion. I think now I would suggest you to look at the nephridium of earthworm. Nephridium, yeah, okay. So this is the nephridium of earthworm. Septal nephridium means singular, it will be nephridium. Okay, I told you. A similar drawing was there on the board also. Quite long it is, and it has got lots of tunnels inside, ciliated tracts, and is a funnel through which the ceramic fluid will enter, and lots of blood capillaries into which things will be absorbed, excretory waste, and lots of complicated things are there. So this is a nephridium. Now let us go for a picture of the excretory structures of amphibia. But then when it comes to amphibia, you know, it is all going to be kidneys again. So there are two kidneys of the frog, and you know the kidneys, they will produce urine, and urine will be collected by ureters, and ureters will pour the urine here into a special organ which is called as cloaca. At a later stage, I'll talk more about cloaca. And there is a urinary bladder also. It's very interesting. In the case of the amphibia like frog and toad, kidneys will have nephrons. Those will filter the blood, and the urine will be produced. Urine will be collected by ureters. Urine will come into the cloaca, and from cloaca it can go out. Fine. But usually from the cloaca it will first go into the urinary bladder, will get stored there, and then comes here. So choices are there. Directly it can go out, but usually it will get here, filled into the bladder, and at appropriate time the bladder will release the urine into the cloaca, and through the cloaca it will go out. I just mentioned that there is no anus. You know, in these animals like reptiles, birds and amphibians, there is no anus, there is what is called as cloaca. I think we can use this picture to make some understanding about it. You can see the excretory waste like urine is coming up here. Then the digestive system is coming up here. The digestive system is ending with rectum. So undigested food is also coming up here. So undigested food coming up into the cloaca, urine coming into the cloaca, and interesting, funny, the testes are attached to the kidneys. Oh my God! Testes are attached to the kidneys, and testes will produce sperms, and the sperms produced by the testes will enter into the kidney. Too much it is. Sperms which are produced by the testes enter inside the kidneys, and they travel through the kidneys. There are canals for it, and they will also come into the ureter. And ureter, in the case of the male frog, the ureters which are starting from the kidney, in the case of the male frog, will carry urine, and they can also carry sperms. So what are those things which are coming into the cloaca? Undigested food is coming into the cloaca. Urine is also coming into the cloaca, and sperms are also coming into the cloaca. And through this single hole, everything will pass out. Oh my God, you can't imagine. Undigested food will pass out. Sometimes urine will pass out, and at the time of mating, you know, frogs mate in breeding season, and then that time only sperms will pass out. This cloaca is a special thing. You have to please remember, it's in amphibians, reptiles and birds. Mammals don't have. Mammals have a separate opening, anus for undigested food, fecal matter, and urinary opening and reproductive openings are there. And we are going to talk about all that. So please remember this is quite interesting. So that is how the system exists in the amphibians, and we can have now some better pictures. We have considered two things till now. One thing is we have tried to develop the concept of excretion. We have tried to say that excretion is nothing but elimination of metabolic wastes. Then we have tried to classify the excretory waste as carbonaceous, nitrogenous and others. Second thing that we have learned is about the various excretory arrangements in different animals, like Barbian tubules in insects, Nephridia in Annelida, earthworm, flame cells in liver fluke, that is platyhelminths, and in the remaining uni and multicellular lower animals and protists, it's all general body cell. That is what we have learned. We will now come to this spatial aspects, modes of excretion, that is adaptations. Let us understand what you mean by this. Just a pause. So let's understand what are modes of excretion. Means different ways, different methods, different facilities that nature has given to different animals. Once again, variety. I will continuously talk about this particular point of life, variety. There is variety in the different organs of excretion. There is variety in the different metabolic wastes, and there is variety about the way the excretion can occur. And this is of course particularly with respect to the nitrogen excretion. You have already learned these terms, I suppose. Ammonotelism, ureotelism, uricotelism and guanotelism. Do these words sound good to you? Maybe for some of you fine. Some of you may not like too many words. Those who don't like words, I can tell you a trick how to remember simple meanings. You know, there are animals which will give out ammonia as the excretory waste. So those animals who give out ammonia as the excretory waste, they will be called as ammonotelic animals. Very simple. If you don't want to remember ammonotelic, simply say some animals give out you ammonia. Okay. Animals giving out ammonia. If possible, remember ammonotelism or ammonotelic animals. It's okay. Ammonia is NH4. Those animals which give out urea, CONH2 twice, urea. Well, these are the animals who can be called as ureotelic. And this process, this method is called as ureotelism. Method is ureotelism and animals are ureotelic. In the case of the first category, ammonotelism is the method and ammonotelic animals are the group. So ammonotelic animals have ammonotelism, ureotelic animals have ureotelism, and third category, uricotelism. Those animals which give out uric acid, this formula is given C5H4N4O3. So those animals which give out uric acid, nitrogen in the form of uric acid as a metabolic waste, then those animals will be called as uricotelic animals. And the uricotelic animals, they show uricotelism. So uricotelism, ureotelism, ammonotelism are all methods of excretion. Once again, ammonotelism, ammonia is excreted. Ureotelism, animals excrete urea. Uricotelism, animals excrete uric acid. Who are those animals who are ammonotelic? Carefully record the list. Aquatic invertebrates. Aquatic invertebrates? Well, start with once again all the sponges, all the cnidarians, the hydra, the sea anemone, the jellyfish, all the annelids. There will be Nereis, leech, earthworm, all the annelida, and these aquatic invertebrates, many of them, most of them will excrete ammonia, but not all of them. Remember, some of them along with ammonia can also excrete little bit of urea, but usually ammonotelic aquatic invertebrates. Amongst the vertebrates, the bony fishes. The bony fishes are very special. For certain special reasons, they are able to they prefer to give out the ammonia. Cartilaginous fishes, they will be giving out urea. But bony fishes, they are giving out ammonia. There is a difference. And this difference is related to what is called as osmoregulation. I think today I am using the word for the first time. I'll write that word here. Osmoregulation. Okay, I'll write the word here. Osmoregulation. I am going to use this word for explanation later on. Usually, osmoregulation will be something which is related to the maintenance of water and salt equilibrium in the body. Did I say it this way? Just listen. Osmoregulation is maintaining the equilibrium in the body of water and salts, electrolytes. Whenever urine is being given out, whenever excretory wastes are given out, the body has to be sure that there will be certain amount of osmotic concentration maintained in the body. I think it will be impossible just now to talk about osmoregulation, but I'll simply say that we will cover it in a light way later on. So, that's the reason. Cartilaginous fishes are ureotelic, but the bony fishes are ammonotelic. The reason lies in the explanation of osmoregulation. We will consider that later on. Many amphibia, they are ureotelic. Frog is a ureotelic. Tadpole of the frog will be ammonotelic. So aquatic amphibians. Aquatic amphibians, you know, tadpoles are aquatic, and there are certain amphibia which are lifelong, adults also in the water. So they will have ammonotelism, but then frogs and toads, which are terrestrial amphibians, they will be ureotelic. So once again, it's very interesting. If you remember, for frogs we have said, and in the worksheet also the pictures were given to you. I'm sure you are solving those worksheets very, very carefully. I think we are trying to give you one of the best materials which is available thoughtfully. If you have carefully gone through the worksheets, and there was a question about it which was asked, see, there are, in what are the different ways of respiration in the case of the frog? Frogs respire, you know, if you think of the tadpoles respire by skin, then they respire along with skin by external gills, then along with the skin, the external gills are lost, but then there are what are called internal gills, and tadpole undergoes all these changes. And later on, when the tadpoles are changed into tiny frogs, well, those tiny frogs have no more gills, but the skin is there. So skin is something which will continue from tadpole life to the adult life. And additionally, the adults will now must have developed lungs. So it seems that amphibia is the only group which has got more variety, because part of their life is in water and part of their life is on land. That's how they are amphibians. So just like there is a variety in the respiratory modes, there is a variety in excretion. So tadpoles, which are aquatic, they have ammonotelism, and when they are metamorphosed into frog, adult amphibians, they become ureotelic. So many amphibia. And all mammals, we people, you, me, giraffe, elephant, all mammals, cows, goats, buffaloes, deer, lion, tiger and bears, all of are ureotelic. So it's very interesting that amphibia are ureotelic and mammals are also ureotelic. We give out urea through our urine. Same thing, amphibia and a cartilaginous fish will also give out urea through the urine. Coming to uricotelism, insects. I think we just now considered malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are involved in What kind of excretion? Mammalian tubules are collecting uric acid. And all reptiles, snakes, lizards, they are all uricotelic. Birds, all birds are uricotelic. There are some exceptions. Crocodile, for example. Crocodile is not uricotelic, but it is ureotelic. I think exceptions are there. I think I told you that normally reptiles have 3 chambers to the heart, 3.5 suppose, 3.5 chambers, reptiles. But some reptiles like crocodiles have 4-chambered heart. So crocodile seems to be a little advanced. In what sense? Crocodile is a reptile, but it has got 4-chambered heart. Otherwise, it is supposed to have less than 4 chamber, 3 chamber, 3.5 chamber, and so on. And crocodiles, they are they are reptiles, so they are supposed to be uricotelic, but no, reptiles are ureotelic. They go with mammals. And there are lots of changes. So, although we are trying to classify animals under these categories, there are some exceptions to each case. I think I'll tell you something interesting about reptiles. आपल्याकडे पाली असतात बघा भिंतीवर आणि त्या टिपिकल पाली त्यांचं एक्सक्रेटरी वेस्ट असतं. हॅव यू एव्हर ऑब्झर्व व्हॉट काइंड ऑफ वेस्ट इट इज? त्यांना क्लोएका मधून ते बाहेर येतं. त्या रेप्टाइल्स आहे क्लोएका असते. सो देयर इज अ ब्राउनिश ब्लॅकिश पार्ट आणि व्हाईटिश पार्ट. देयर इज अ ब्राउनिश ब्लॅकिश पार्ट, स्मॉल ते पेलेट सारखं असतं आणि त्याला व्हाईटिश पार्ट असतो. सो दॅट व्हाईटिश पार्ट इज युरिक ॲसिड अँड द ब्राउनिश ब्लॅकिश पार्ट इज फिकल मॅटर. ते दोन्ही एकदमच एका वेळेला बाहेर टाकतात. क्लोएका मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं बघाशी, इट इज अ क्लोएका. त्याला फ्रॉगमध्ये सांगितलं ना, amphibians have cloaca, reptiles and birds have cloaca. So when material comes out, fecal matter along with some uric acid attached to it comes out. Birds तेच आहे. बर्ड्सची तर विष्ठा तुम्ही बघायलाच पाहिजे. का नाही बघणार? तुम्ही बघायला पाहिजे, निसर्गाचं ऑब्झर्वेशन करायला पाहिजे. You know, when birds have those bird droppings, if you carefully observe, many times it is more whitish, and the whitish means uric acid असतं. And the birds also give out fecal matter in whatever color and in whatever form you might have noted that. The whitish part of the sugar, uric acid is. Okay, so that is it. I'll comment on quadratism little later on, but I'm just coming to certain other aspects. Ammonia to be given out needs plenty of water. आता तुम्ही लिस्टच बघा, त्यांना भरपूर पाणी अवेलेबल आहे. Aquatic invertebrates. Look at aquatic invertebrates, bony fishes, and aquatic amphibians. So those animals who are in water, well, in them it is possible to give out ammonia. Ammonia काय आहे? Toxic आहे फार, त्यामुळे तो राहू शकत नाही. So to give out ammonia, the animals need to have plenty of water, and these people means these animals have a lot of water available. Coming to ureotelism. Compared to ammonia excretion, urea excretion requires less water. अगदी सांगायचं असेल, 1 gram of ammonia requires 500 ml of water, and 1 gram of urea will require 50 ml of water. कमी पाणी लागते. So naturally these animals, you know, many amphibians and mammals, त्यांना पाणी आहे पण कमी आहे. See, we drink water. And most of the mammals, they have just enough water. So we have ureotelism. But most interesting is uricotelism. Least water is required. This is less. This is least. Insects. They are and insects and birds. खूप छान adaptation आहे बघा. Insects and birds are flying. These are flying animals. आता फ्लाइट हवं असेल तर शरीर जडून चालेल का? You cannot expect that insects and birds will have water enough for giving out urea or ammonia. त्यांना ते परवडणारच नाही, त्यांची फ्लाइटच होऊ शकणार नाही. You need buoyancy, and water is a heavy substance. तुमच्या बॅग्समध्ये तुम्ही वॉटर बॉटल ठेवता, ते हेवी होते, आणि वॉटर बॉटल काढली की ती हलकी होते. तुमचा अनुभव आहे. So when the insects and the birds want to fly, I think they cannot afford to waste. They cannot afford to firstly carry water, that much of water for excretion, and it's not good for their life. So what they have gone for? They have gone for uric acid excretion. Reptiles are on the same line because many reptiles are desert living, and therefore usually there is a shortage of water, and so they are adapted for less water. All these modes of excretion are adaptations. This is a very, very important word. The adaptation word is so important. Many times adaptation is equivalent to evolution. And all these things, all these different methods have been produced as a part of evolution. Always try to cast your information of biology on the background of evolution, and you will discover many things automatically. If you are able to understand biology on your own, even this online learning or the offline learning, nothing is required. फाउंडेशन कोर्सचा कोई उद्देश आहे. जर तुम्हाला फाउंडेशन कोर्स पासूनच सगळं बायोलॉजी कळायला लागलं, रेग्युलर कोर्स तुम्ही नाही जॉईन केला, जो ऑनलाईनच असण्याची शक्यता आहे, नाही जॉईन केला तरी चालेल, कशाला जॉईन करायचं. एवढंच मी तुम्हाला सांगतोय की विषय कसा शिकायचा ते शिकावं. आय एम नॉट टीचिंग यू बायोलॉजी, आय एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू हाऊ टू लर्न बायोलॉजी. किती महत्वाचा फरक आहे लक्षात घ्या. मी बायोलॉजी शिकवत नाही, बायोलॉजी कसं शिकावं हे शिकवतोय. हे एकदा झालं की तुम्ही स्वतंत्र होणं खूप महत्वाचं आहे. सो these are all adaptations, these are all evolutionary adaptations. आणि ते फिजिओलॉजिकल अडॅप्टेशन्स. फिजिओलॉजिकल काय? फिजिओलॉजिकल यासाठी आहेत की ते तुमचे एक्सक्रिशन ही फिजिओलॉजिकल प्रोसेस आहे. एक्सक्रिशन इज अ फिजिओलॉजिकल प्रोसेस, and in the process of excretion, which is a physiological process, variety is generated, and that variety is due to habitat. Animals may be aquatic, they may be desert loving, or they may be in between, partly aquatic, water availability moderate. So accordingly they adjust themselves. So this is how these are all adaptations. Lastly, I will say something about guanotelism. Guanine is excreted. It is also a nitrogenous waste. You might have heard that guanine, adenine, guanine, thymine, cytosine, and they are nitrogen bases. Do you remember them? Yeah. So from the same category, the guanine is excreted. So some animals prefer to give out the nitrogen in the form of guanine. And for guanine also, just like uric acid, least minimum amount of water is required. And the famous guanotenic animals are spiders and scorpions. Now you may wonder, my God, again arthropods. On one side arthropods have malpigentables, the insecta, and on the other side they are having guanine excretion. Again why? मी तुम्हाला तेच तर मगापासून सांगतोय, व्हरायटी. कलरफुल लाईफ कलरफुल याचा अर्थ आहे व्हरायटी खूप आहे. त्यामुळे तुमच्या व्यक्ती सुद्धा प्रत्येकाला कमी जास्त कळतं, कोणाला लवकर समजतं, कोणाला लवकर नाही समजत, कोणाला वेळ लागतो, कोणाला पटकन कळतं, कोणाला एक वेगळ्या प्रकारे त्याच्याकडे बघायचं वाटतं, काही जण त्याच्याकडे दुसऱ्या दृष्टीने बघतात. व्हरायटी आहे, व्हरायटी चांगली आहे. तुम्ही सगळे एकमेकांपासून वेगळे आहात की नाही, आणि असणं महत्त्वाचं आहे. कोणाशी कंपॅरिझन करू नका. एव्हरीबडी इज डिफरंट. कुणी तुमची कंपॅरिझन करायला गेलं तर त्यांना सांगा की मी बायोलॉजी शिकणार आहे आणि आय बिलीव्ह इन व्हरायटी. सांगण्याचा मुद्दा असा की व्हरायटी असणं वाईट नाही आहे. बीइंग डिफरंट इज नॅचरल, हे लक्षात घ्या. बीइंग डिफरंट इज नॅचरल. ओके. इथे पण सगळे वेगवेगळे आहेत, खूप व्हरायटी आहे. तरी सगळी व्हरायटी आपण इथे घेऊ शकत नाही, पण इतकी तरी व्हरायटी तुम्ही लक्षात ठेवा. सम ओशनिक बर्ड्स आर ऑल्सो गुआनोटेल. ह्याच्या खूप मजेशीर गोष्टी आहेत. ओशनिक बर्ड्स काही असे आहेत की जे प्रचंड प्रमाणात फिश खातात आणि ग्वानीन एक्सक्रीट करतात आणि खूप ग्वानो जमतं. आणि ग्वानो या त्यांच्या एक्सक्रिटरी मॅटरच्या टेकड्या तयार झालेल्या आहेत. पेरू देश तुम्हाला माहिती आहे, आणि साऊथ अमेरिकन कॉन्टिनेंटच्या मध्ये पेरू देशाच्या तिकडे जी काही आयलंड्स आहेत तिथे इतक्या मोठ्या प्रमाणात हे ग्वानो जमतं की ते खत म्हणून मोठ्या प्रमाणात विक्री करतात वगैरे वगैरे. असं खूप काहीतरी गमतीशीर खूप गोष्टी आहेतच. तर दीज आर द व्हेरियस वेज ऑफ मोड्स ऑफ एक्सक्रिशन. आणि याच्यातही काही जास्ती गोष्टी आणखी सांगायच्या असतील तर ते योग्य वेळी ॲड होतील. पण मला वाटतं तुमच्यासाठी सध्या एवढं पुष्कळ आहे. हा सगळा भाग नीटला आहे ना? 100%. म्हणजे आपण आता नीटची सुरुवात केली का? मी तसं म्हणणार नाही, आपण बायोलॉजी शिकायला सुरुवात केली आहे. नीट म्हणजे काही वेगळं नसतं बरं का. तुमच्या असं जर काही करणं असेल की हे नीटसाठी आहे ते नीटसाठी नाही, फाउंडेशन नीटसाठी आहे का, 11वीला नीटचा पोर्शन आहे का, असं काही डोक्यात ठेवू नका. मजेत शिका, भरपूर शिका, आनंदाने शिका, वारंवार ऐका. ही लेक्चर्स तुमच्याकडे रेकॉर्ड असतील तर तुम्ही ऐका. मी तुम्हाला मगाशी सांगितलं की तुमच्याकडे रेकॉर्डिंग आणि स्टोरेज फॅसिलिटी असेल ती करून घ्या, आणि नंतर करता करता तुम्हाला बायोलॉजी यायला लागेल. एक गॅरंटी बायोलॉजी की तुम्हाला दडपण वाटणार नाही अभ्यासाचं, मात्र वेळ मात्र अभ्यासाला द्यावा लागेल. So that is what we have learned today. 3 things we have learned. We have learned the concept of excretion. Then we have learned the different excretory structures in different animals. And just now we have tried to consider the modes of excretion. आता पुढचा एक जे आपला पार्ट नंतर घ्यायचा आहे त्याच्यामध्ये आपण आता कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन कशावर करणार आहोत? ह्युमन एक्सक्रिटरी सिस्टीमवर. ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट.